Okay, I didn't see that. Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to you. Today, you're here to talk about Executive MBA and find out answers to the most commonly asked question, like should you go for an Executive MBA? What are the value of Executive MBA, and what kind of placement you would get after completion? So, and obviously the eligibility and etc. and etc. To answer all these questions today, we have two very esteemed and expert with us who are going to talk about the entire process, benefits, and is it the right fit for you or not. So with great pleasure, I would like to introduce Mr. Balakrishna. He's the head marketing at IIM Bangalore. He has close to 30 years of experience spread over different industries, namely defense, precision manufacturing, information technology, education. At IMB, he manages marketing activities of all his degree granting programs. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Today we have Dr. Veena Iyer. She is an assistant professor in accounting and finance area at MBA in Gurgaon. She also is the lead of the Institute of Executive Graduate Programs. She holds a fellowship in finance from IIM Bangalore. She did her master's in business economics from Delhi University. She has over 10 years of experience of academic and teaching experience, and also has spent more than 11 years in corporate roles. So as you can understand from their profile, they are the expert in Executive MBA, and they are here today to tell you everything about it. So before I start with the question and answer, I would like to tell you that we will have a separate 15 minutes for Q&A. So at the end of the session, but feel free to drop in any questions you have in between while we are conversing. You might have some questions, so please feel to drop it in. So without further ado, before that, ma'am, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us today. So yes,
yeah.
So let's start with the question and answer. Ma'am, I would like to ask you, how does an Executive MBA help a professional to achieve a change in their career trajectory?
Okay. So, Upashana, what I would say is, see, this is a program meant for experienced professionals, right? So naturally, the career opportunities that will be there before the professionals, they are going to be connected with their experience, with their skills, with their knowledge, and obviously their aspiration also. So when we look at executive MBA or executive management programs in general, we can look at careers in two dimensions. Okay, one is what we call a career change, and another one is what we call career acceleration. Okay, so for example, suppose somebody comes from a sales background, okay, and then does an MBA or a PGDM, and then moves into consulting. So that's a career change. Another one could be, let's say you are a team lead or an executive, junior executive kind of a position, and then you move into senior management and general management roles after your an MBA, maybe immediately, maybe in a while. That is basically career acceleration. Because normally what happens is, had you not done an MBA, it's not to say that one doesn't move in there. So it's not to say that you will never become a senior manager, but then that's going to take a very different kind of a route, and it will naturally take more time, right? So that is essentially a career acceleration. So every stream actually, it opens up a number of opportunities. So that is actually what an executive MBA brings. It's not like I do an MBA, I go there and that's it. It kind of opens multiple doors for you. Now, whether those multiple doors are equally good for everybody, that's another question. But it definitely opens up doors. Okay, it's not a one size that fits all. Okay. So let us say, as an example, if I were to very quickly say, let's say somebody is working, after taking a bank PO exam, somebody is working as an officer in a bank, let's say a public sector bank, okay, or even working as an officer in a private sector bank. Now, you could be doing one kind of work in the bank. It could be either in the sales side or it could be in the regular banking operations side, right? But if you really look at banking as an industry, there is, it's like such a wide and such a, large universe that you can, if you really want to look at career opportunities, besides regular commercial banking, you can have wealth management, you can have corporate banking, you can have consulting. You can actually move into consulting, not within the bank, outside the bank. You can have investment banking, private equity, you can have fintech, so the world is your oyster, really speaking. So the question is, how do you make yourself, or at least how do you get to know about all these things? Okay, and check out, where really you would fit in. What are the skills that are needed for these various types of roles and various types of career paths? And it's not only skills, even attitudes differ, right? The attitude that you require to be a bank officer and do commercial banking maybe later is very different from the attitude you will need if you want to do, let's say, investment banking or private equity. Okay, so what does an executive MBA kind of a program help you to do? Obviously, it gives you, opens up your, it broadens your horizons to make you familiar with this entire universe. It introduces to you the skills that are required, and sometimes it even gives you those attitudes. Very often we discover so many things about ourselves when we are in the B school, which you never even knew that you had. That's a very beautiful self-discovery that sometimes can happen. Okay, so having said that, finally, what I would like to say about this particular thing is, see, we shouldn't look at career as, what will happen as soon as I graduate? What is the placement opportunity that I will get? Of course, that is important. But what I really want to tell our audience today is that, see, look at your career as a long-term thing. Right? You have another 30 years, maybe 30, 35, 40 years of career in front of you. So an MBA kind of an education, an executive MBA kind of an education opens up opportunities and opens up your mind for a whole lot of opportunities that do not even exist today, but which can come in the future. And you will be better equipped to understand those opportunities, to figure how to kind of make the best of those opportunities. So you really need to think about that in a long-term kind of view rather than immediate placement opportunities kind of. Right? So yeah, I guess that's what I would have to say at this point.
I think, yes, the attitude matters a lot when you talk about an executive MBA. And before actually think about diving into a career, you have to make up your mind that, and of course, if you do an MBA, a lot of things come in forefront that you actually don't know that you actually have. That's a very nice point, ma'am. Thank you so much. Sir, I would like to ask you that how does the preparation of an executive MBA differ from general flagship MBA programs?
Okay, fine. So how does one candidate to prepare for this particular program? See, once the candidate has identified that he should enhance his career by acquiring more knowledge in terms of the managerial knowledge. So what is that he needs to do? The way of looking in another sector is, what is that an education institute like management education institutes look in candidate for recruitment to these type of programs. It is not just one parameter that we look at. It is a holistic approach we adopt while selecting the candidates. So in this approach, what we consider is the past academic performance, then the his admission test score, the number of years of experience that he has put in, then the industry from which he is coming, any significant achievements that he has performed in the recent past, both in academics or in the industry side of it. Then comes the diversity factors, that is the education background from which he is coming, or the industry different diversity background and the gender diversity background. So these are the kind of things that we consider, and also the international exposure in case a candidate is having. So these are all the parameters which goes in shortlisting of candidates. Once the candidate has been shortlisted, then comes his interview performance. So if you consider all these parameters before the interview, so what are the things that candidate is having in his hand at this point of time to enhance? Can he enhance his academic scores, 10th, 12th and the graduation? No. Can he enhance his number of years of work experience? No. Can he change his industry? No. So what it comes to boils down is his admission test score. It can be a GMAT or a GRE. So a good preparation in that side of it at this point of time is a real indication that yes, there is a chance for him to perform well. And also, there is, in case during the mock test of this admission test score, if a candidate is scoring at 750 or 760 out of 800, but in a final test, in case if he lands up in 710 or 720, in my view, he should not compromise on his GMAT score. It is worth taking a GMAT once again and aim for that 750 or 760 score, what he is really. Because if he compromises on that GMAT score now, he will be compromising his career for the next 30 years. And he will end up in a tier 2 or tier 3 institute that is not good for him. So he should aim for the best GMAT score or the admission test score and then apply for this program. This is the way I look at the candidate.
Thank you, sir. Yes, you are absolutely right that whatever happened in the past or the scores, you cannot change it. But of course, what you do right now, like taking a standardized test like GMAT and getting a good score really, really helps the candidate to get into a good B school like as yours. So thank you so much for that. The next question I would like to ask both of you because I think it's around the admission process. So who should ideally go for an executive MBA and what are the eligibility criteria? Also, if you can just run us through the admission process of both of your institutes. So anybody would like to take that first?
So I think Mr. Balakrishna kind of already spoke about, the eligibility and at least the process in brief. So, that doesn't really change too much across schools, but just to reiterate, at least let's say for MDI Gurgaon, see, we are regulated by the AICTE. Okay. So when it comes to the eligibility criteria, to a large extent, we have to fall in line with the eligibility criteria that the AICTE demands. So to put it very simply, yes, the candidate has to be a graduate from a recognized university, and you have to have 50% minimum in your 10th, your 12th, and your graduation levels, right? So that is the first this thing. And of course, you have to have 5 years of full-time work experience if you for an executive MBA. And this work, when we say work experience, it could be you job kind of a thing, or entrepreneurship, family business also. But there it gets a little dicey in the sense, anyone can come and say, I was helping my father, I was in my family business. So distinguishing whether you really did and were participating in the family business the way a regular employee would do, or the the CEO would do, or CXO would do, versus generally were you doing time pass, can sometimes become a little dicey. But having said that, that diversity is very important for all the B schools in our cohort. We want people who come from the family business side, who come from entrepreneurial side. You may have tried and you may have failed, but I guess that's a bigger learning than anything else, right? So all those are welcome. So the eligibility as per the AICTE is that a 5-year work experience is required. Now coming to the other part about the process. So like what Bala was saying, that if there is a written exam. So at MDI we take CAT scores, CAT, ZAT, or GMAT scores, right, for our residential MBA programs. So to quickly kind of make our audience here aware that at MDI, we offer 3 executive management programs. So one, which is a regular residential PGDM business management, that's what it's called, right? Which is an 18-month program, 15 months coursework and 3 months dissertation. Then we also offer the weekend variety, which people who have, who do not want to leave their jobs, but want to study alongside work can pursue. That's a 2-year program. So it's 21 months of coursework and 3 months of dissertation. So these classes are held in the weekends or in the late evenings. Then we also have a specialized program, which actually IIM Bangalore also has, which is a public policy and management program, which is also an executive program, right? So for all the programs, CAT, ZAT, or GMAT scores is what are accepted. And for the evening program, we do also have an MDI test. So for people, who may not have taken these, who may not have these scores, we also have an MDI test that they can take. Anyway, so, you have the written exam, those scores are taken, and then they are shortlisted. And then there is a personal interview. So, I think the personal interview is a very important component that participants and candidates have to keep in mind, because that is where, of course, like what Bala said, your written exam and getting a good score in your GMAT is absolutely very important, because that's the first step. And good score means your weighted average automatically pulls up your weighted average, right? And it kind of also indicates. So one would ask, why should I go through these exams? So see, it indicates a certain sense of seriousness, a certain sense of rigor that you are able to bring, So there are certain character traits that we read into those scores as well. But then comes the interview part. And interview, what really one looks at is, very quickly, I'll just cover dedication, curiosity, willingness to learn, and willingness to unlearn also. So we want people with open mind. You may have had 5 years or 10 years of work experience. You may come from a certain background in various ways. But then are you willing to kind of accept differences in points of view? Are you willing to have an open mind and, learn and, you argue, you speak, you agree to disagree, but are you coming out with an open mind? So these are certain things also that we look for when we are, selecting.
Thank you so much for this. Yeah, so obviously open mind is something that we need to know, and unlearning something after learning is quite difficult. So yes, of course, your executive MBA will teach you that. So I would happy to hear some comments from you also.
Yeah, already Professor Veena Iyer has covered in detail. In fact, if we remove the MDA, replace MDA with IIM, it holds good. Or if you replace MDA with Stanford or Yale or other Harvard universities, the parameters and the selection process is always the same. So there may be some slight variations with respect to IIMB where we are varying. The eligibility is a minimum 5 years of work experience after graduation, and a minimum of 50% in graduation, and a valid GMAT or GRE score we consider for a 1-year full-time residential MBA program. Okay, so this is with respect to the eligibility aspect as such. Then the selection process is the same. Once the candidate has been shortlisted, he will be called for a written ability test. So this is a 30-minute test where a topic is given to the candidate. So first 10 minutes, he will think about the topic and how to write his answer or an analysis of a given particular case. And next 20 minutes, he will be writing. It is an essay type question. So he has to write a paragraph. It's a 1-page A4 sheet, then followed by his personal interview. So that's where the selection process and the eligibility criteria as such at IIM Bangalore. So this is for a 1-year MBA program. Similarly, we have a 2-year weekend MBA program where classes are conducted Friday, second half, and Saturdays. This is mainly for candidates who don't want to leave their earning cycle at this point of time, but has an urge to enhance their managerial skills. So as MBA is also having a program, so we also have a similar program where Friday, second half, and Saturdays we conduct classes. The eligibility for this is minimum 4 years of work experience after graduation and 50% in graduation. And admission test score here we consider is CAT, GMAT, GRE. In case if a candidate is not in a position to apply for these exams, then we look at IIMB test. We also conduct an IIMB test in the month of February every year. They can appear for that test and also get qualified for the Executive MBA program. So this is where the eligibility and the admission process. Other points already Madam has covered, and I don't want to go in detail. We can move on.
Yeah, this is a very valuable information for all our viewers, that people who doesn't want to leave their job, there's an opportunity for you to enhance your career as well. Sometimes people get jittery of leaving their job and going full-time MBA. But of course, people who want to do that, that is also great for them, and they can actually enhance and learn new things and new skills as well. On that perspective, I would like to ask a question about professionals, about what is the range of professionals in terms of number of years they have worked in classroom. So what kind of diverse classroom you have, and how diverse is the Executive MBA classroom look like? So we'd like to take that first.
Yeah, sure. See, MBA program is totally a different kind of program where the faculties expect as much of diversity as possible. If it's a class of 75 students, they expect all 75 students to come from different background, different geography, different industry experience, different education experience. Why? Because that will enrich the class participation, especially when it comes to the case study discussions. If a particular case is being discussed, one student may say that, sir, this may be the situation in this particular industry, what we are discussing, but in a real estate where I'm coming from, it is totally a different one. An IT guy may say something else. Same way, the health industries guy may say a different view on that side of it. Sorry. Okay. So that's how the diversity matters a lot. There's a power outage here. Just few minutes. maybe this may work for some time. Yeah, so the diversity is an important parameter in our aspect, and even the gender diversity is also we consider in the classes. So the type of diversity what we look at in our MBA program is education diversity, the work experience diversity, the industry diversity, and the gender diversity, and also the international exposure, the geography diversity. And yes, these are all the ways in which we look at, and also there will be a certain kind of weightage during the interviews for students. Given all these factors, still majority of the students are engineer male working in IT sector.
Okay. Ma'am, so what does a classroom in MDI look like?
Yeah, so, actually, I absolutely echo what Bala is saying. That, being a faculty myself, I'll just add to that fact that, the richness that comes from a diverse group, it cannot be overemphasized, Not only that, the class becomes interesting and becomes, the discussion becomes rich. As a faculty, I learn also. You see, it's not that we know everything. And that, it's so the best thing about executive education is that the relationship is not of a teacher and a student. Okay, the relationship is more of a facilitator and a participant. Okay, so, there are people also sometimes with work ex of say 20 years. All right, so who may not be too much younger than I am. And in fact, they may be older than some of the younger faculty that we have in the institute, right? So essentially what is happening is it's a learning atmosphere across. All right. So this diversity, like what he said, somebody's from the real estate sector, somebody's from the IT sector, etc. So I'm teaching accounting. Accounting is so different in both the sectors. What they would look at in one sector versus another sector in terms of, various things and how operations happen, how people management happens, issues happen. Everything is so different that brings about a whole lot of richness. So having said that, when you have to look at the class profile and, the final statement that he made, yes, it is still male, engineer, IT sector dominated. And I'm, I don't know whether I should say, Bala, that I'm almost happy to hear that is the same story in IIM Bangalore also. I thought it was only here, but then, yeah, that seems to be it. But having said that, yes, we strive for diversity and, in order to encourage more diversity, both in terms of gender and in terms of the background, we do in our, overall, let's say, scoring pattern or selection pattern, we do give some kind of weight for gender diversity and for non-engineers, right? So that we are able to attract a little bit of this. And in terms of the cohort, really, it's, I would say that the residential MBA PGDM that we have, the cohort average experience is about, let's say, about 8 years. And when you look at the evening program cohort, it is normally a little more. It could be anywhere between, say, about 12 to 15 years of average experience. So it's a slightly more senior group. And it is not a surprise, really. Because, it's like at different stages in life, your priorities with respect to career are different. What you are seeking from an executive MBA is different, right? And, so a younger crowd can probably also take a chance that, okay, let me leave my job. And this is the time when I can, kind of move into something different. But I'm not saying that, an HR professional can become an investment banker or something as drastic as that. But yes, you have a better chance of shifting trajectory when you are younger with fewer years of experience behind you than when you already have 15 years of experience in something, right? So those people are looking for something very different with that executive MBA. So that's also, those are subtle differences as well.
Thank you so much. So this actually leads me to my next question, which is very interesting about diversity. As you said that, there is a male, supremacy, or the number of male students are more
male
than
engineer IT.
Male engineer. This is like male engineer IT. So in your institutions, basically, is there any preference given to women candidates? Is there anything that you would like to elaborate, or non-engineers per se? Suppose somebody from HR would feel completely out of place if just thrown into like 5 bunches of engineers. So any different preferences or anything extra that you actually provide to these students?
Okay. Yeah. Yes, always there is a preference for the diversity students. We have students from Ayush background. that is homeopathy stream or Ayurveda stream, students from that particular stream, students from finance with CA, then students from economics background. Like this, we have the diversity students, both gender diversity also we give. And there is a preference for these students, and these preferences are being considered at the time of interview. But again, they should pass certain threshold limit. Then only they can be considered for the opportunities. But sure, there is a preference for these students, and there is a scarcity in the market for these students also.
Yeah, just to add on to what Bala just said, yes, like for instance, in my current batch of our evening program, we have a doctor. He's a radiologist, so he's an MBBS and then an MD, and he's a radiologist, and he's the CEO of a radiology, what do you call this, diagnostic center. The family runs a diagnostic center, so he's a CEO of that. CEO, or maybe the father is the CEO, and he's also there. So now he is looking to do an MBA because very clearly he's, running his own business. He's looking to do an MBA in order to understand how to run the business side of it. He's already a doctor, how to run the business side of it better, right? We have architects in our batch, right? We have, so, in terms of, but like what Bala says, they are the exceptions. You will have one maybe like that, one architect, one doctor, one lawyer. You will have a few commerce students, maybe you will have a few economics or humanities students, but yes, the majority will still be engineers. So what are we doing for it? Yes, like I had also said that we do give a little bit more weightage to non-engineering graduates, okay, so that they are given that little bit of push, and if they are able to, of course, make it through all the other hoops, they have a better chance of getting in. Same is with gender diversity also, that because see, it's not that women or they can't do it. It is mostly what happens is there are multiple, I would say, social and other kind of issues which kind of make it difficult for a woman to take that leap very often, especially when it comes to executive MBA. See, when you look at the 2-year MBA where you have younger students, either who are fresh graduates or with 6 months, 1 to 2 years of year experience, you have many more women members there, right? But what happens the moment you talk about executive, because you are at a different stage of life, and at that time to take a leap like that for a woman, it tends to be more difficult than it is for a man. So then we have to give that little bit of extra hold and a little bit of push and help for them to come this side. So we do that in that formula that you have. There is a little bit of that push there.
That is great to hear. So all our viewers, just to say that if you are from non-engineering background or you're women, there is like a lot of push and a lot of opportunities for you to go for executive MBA. So please do not hesitate and do try to get into it, because it will open a lot of opportunities for you. Thank you so much. So I would now open the floor for questions. So we have a lot of questions from our viewers. First of all, I would like to ask that, is it right to do an executive MBA after one has done a regular MBA from any unknown management college? So, sir, ma'am, would you like to take the now?
Okay. See, second MBA is not a crime. But immediately after doing the first MBA, if you're going for a second MBA, there's no point in it. If you're done the first MBA maybe 10, 15 years back, and now there's a lot of change in the industry, there's a lot of changes are happening in the way that things are being looked at it. See, the 20 years back, it was a different set altogether. It was the way the recruitment was looking at is different, but today it is a different skill set, the way we recruit people. So if there's an appreciable time gap between the first and the second MBA, then yes, it is good to consider.
Yeah, I'll agree with Bala. So two angles there, why you might want to do it. One is like what he said, that the world could have changed, and it is changing very, very rapidly now, right? So that doesn't mean that everybody does a second and a third MBA every 5 years, right? That doesn't happen. But from the time you did it to now, if you really see that it's changed a lot and I want to catch up, it's not a bad idea. The second one, whether we like it or not, the brand matters, right? So if you, because the person said that he or she has done it from an unknown school. So, maybe you want to kind of open up. So a good brand definitely opens up different types of doors for you than a not so well-known brand. So, and definitely that brand is there because there is some substance. Okay, the brand doesn't happen automatically on its own, because there is a rigor, there is a certain amount of substance that goes behind the brand. So you obviously, that's the reason it opens those doors for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what kind of ROI one can expect post Executive MBA from a prestigious business school like yours?
Would you like to go for it?
Okay. See, the thing is that
So we
this
have a
ROI, this ROI question, no, it is, it's maybe a valid question, but it is about how does one really look at ROI? What do I mean by ROI? To put it very simply, an ROI is that, I have spent X amount of money. What is the return I'm getting for it? That is what ROI essentially means. So the question is, how much have you spent and what are you getting for it? Now, how much you have spent, if one really has to look at it, one is the fees that you are paying in the 1 or 2 years, whatever time. And the opportunity cost. That means if you're actually leaving your work, then there is a salary loss that you are incurring. So that is essentially, you can say that is the expenditure that you have incurred. But if you're doing an MBA, which is along with your job, there is a different kind of what you're spending, or different type of loss. I wouldn't call it loss, different kind of expenditure, if I could put it, because you're reducing your family time, you're probably taking more stress, maybe it's having a little bit of effect on your job. I don't know, because it's not easy to work and do a good rigorous MBA together. Let me be very honest about it. Okay, so there is some kind of sacrifice, whether monetary or otherwise, that is anyway happening. Now the question is the other side of it. Okay, so what am I getting for it? Now here is where the real issue is. I would really advise our audience here, please do not think about it in a very narrow and a short-term kind of a way. Do not think about it that, okay, I had a job which paid me 10 lakhs. I spent another 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs on an MBA. And now, I should get a job which, gives me 25 lakhs or 30 lakhs if the ROI has to make, if that equation has to hold or something. Don't look at it so narrowly. Yes, you should look for a good placement soon after, and you should hopefully get a good placement. But having said that, ROI is a long drawn thing. Okay. And how the ROI will play for you has a lot to do with you more than the school. The school is obviously giving you something, right? It is opening, it's giving you an opportunity, it is giving you an atmosphere, it is giving you faculty, it is giving you a lot of things. How well you take them, how well you take advantage of them, and the opportunities you open up for yourself, that's where it really matters, let me tell you. And you've got to look at it in a long-term basis, not your first placement, and calculate your ROI. Okay, so good schools like an IIM Bangalore or an MDI, okay, whether in your mind you think the MBAs are expensive or whatever, I can vouch for it that the ROI is good. Okay, provided you do your bit to make that ROI good. All right.
That's true. That's true. Sir, your comments on it, please.
No, in fact, why I wanted Professor Iyer to respond is she being the finance faculty and she knows what ROI and also how to look at ROI is also an important thing here. See, in my view, your MBA knowledge, what you gain, you are not going to stop using it 3 years from now or 5 years from now. It is there for your rest of your life. Okay, and you are going to reap the benefit of this program knowledge throughout your life. And also, as Madam said, that it is not that what the first salary you are going to get is that matters. What you need to look at is, are you in the right track of your interest? Are you in the right industry or the right job, the right roles? You may be coming from an IT side of it, but if your interest is in the marketing, are you in a marketing role now? So that's the way to look at it. And according to me, whatever the fees that you are paying, sure, you are going to get back that in terms of money in next 2-3 years, or maybe it's many a times within the 1 or 1.5 years itself. But that is not the way to calculate it.
Correct.
It is the knowledge what you are going to gain from the institute and how you are going to make use of this for rest of your life. So that is the ROI. I leave it for the individual candidates to calculate. Just on a lighter note, some students also get engaged during the program. Is that a better ROI? I leave it to them.
Absolutely.
No, I have
absolutely.
my own family example in that, like what Bala said. So absolutely, that's the best ROI, I guess.
I think yes. So there are a lot more to it apart from ROI. Of course, a lot of students go into executive MBA thinking about ROI. But thanks to you, we understood that the ROI is not the end goal. The journey matters more there. So yes, you have already explained about the entire admission procedure, but there is a question around it. So what is the importance of GMAT score in an admission process? And what is the base score that you want? Is 590 a good score for GMAT? Or you can explain what's a good score or a bad score, you can say.
Okay. Bala, you want to go first?
Yeah, actually in the very first question, opening remarks itself, I told what are the parameters that we consider. Among those parameters, what is that is there in the on hand at this point of time? Except for your admission test, it can be a GMAT, a GRE, or a CAT, or the different admission tests. Only that particular test is in your hand at this point of time to enhance. You cannot change your past academics, or you cannot change your work experience overnight, you cannot change your industry experience, or you cannot change your significant achievements or the kind of the diversity factors. So all those things are given to us. So your admission test score matters a lot at this point of time. But let me tell, a good admission score is not an indication that you may get a call. But at the same time, a poor admission test score really closes the door for the institute kind of it. So if you are at 720 or 730, 750 kind of a candidate during the mock test, and in the real test, if you end up with 710, please don't accept. It may be an additional few thousand rupees for you to take a retest. Please go ahead and take that retest and attain that 750 or 760 of your score, and then only apply for the institute. Don't compromise on the GMAT score or the GRE scores. So it plays a key role for you.
Thank you so much, sir. Ma'am, your comments, please.
So see, I will not venture into numbers here. Okay, so at MDI, the way we do it is that the cutoffs are decided based on the applications that we get. So they are dynamic in that sense. Okay, so and there would be a difference in the cutoff that IIM Bangalore takes versus what we may be taking. Okay, so just to put it in perspective, the current batch of our full-time residential MBA that we have, the average GMAT score that is there in that batch is 680. Okay, this is the average. So that means there are people who have got higher scores and there are those who have got lower scores also. Okay, so because ultimately, like, a good score is important, no two ways about it. But having said that, it is one among many other inputs that go into finally choosing the candidate or making an offer to the candidate. Okay, so definitely a good score will help you at make your chances better. But I will not really venture numbers at this point. So that 680 kind of gives you an indication of where it is.
Okay, great.
Just to add on one more point with respect to IIM Bangalore, the current outgoing batch, the GMAT range we have from 640 to 770 with an average of 700, close to 700. So this is the range. So even if it is a low GMAT score, one need not worry if his candidate is very strong in the other areas.
Correct.
Okay, still he holds a chance, especially when it comes to the diversity side of it. So many there are other parameters. So this range itself, the 640 to 770 is the current batch of GMAT score, gives a good indication that how students can look at the institutes.
Thank you so much, sir. So another question is like, how does it allow you to change your streams? Ma'am has also mentioned that you cannot go to agriculture or you cannot go to finance if you are from HR. But what flexibility do we have to change streams after executive MBA?
Okay, see, it is left to the individuals. We are not forcing any student that you are from this particular stream and you cannot take finance or the IT side of it. It is based on the core courses. We give them a flavor of what this particular course is, what is the kind of the topics that the student will be dealing with, and how in the industry, in the companies, how these particular functions or the roles works upon. Based on their interest, the student is free to choose the electives from his choice. So being a HR guy from the previous in the work experience side of it, he can get into the marketing side if he is interested, or he can go into the strategy side of it based on his interest. Here, the faculties play a key role. If student wants to talk to the faculty and understand what is his interest and from where he is coming and what is his strength and what is his future plans, so the faculty can guide them. That is one thing. Then if he wants to be on a strategy side, already he has other 74 students. The batch itself is there, the peer indication. So they themselves, many a times, they are from the strategy area or from the consulting background. They can also guide the student. And of course, we have alums. Alums also will guide student, saying that what is the kind of the roles and responsibilities a student will be handling if he is in a consulting group. So these are all the inputs the student gets. Based on that, he or she can decide whether he's going to the finance is good, or going to the continuing the HR is good, or going to a consulting or a strategy side, is that suitable? The student can decide on that. So we leave it to students to identify their strengths and their area of interest and then get into the course.
Thank you.
So I absolutely agree with Balakrishna. See, the thing is that, there is a reason that you are coming and doing an executive MBA, because you want to do something different, right? So it's not, so nobody over here is going to say that you cannot do something, right? So it's like I said, that we have a doctor. Now, if a doctor is coming and joining the program, now what do you tell the doctor, that you cannot do finance or you cannot do marketing? No, because there is a reason the person is coming and joining a management program, right? So one is about your interest, the other is about your, skills and your ability, right? And your aptitude for a certain thing like marketing. So marketing requires a certain type of skills, a certain personality, a certain interest, attitude, everything. Same way when it comes to say HR, it's not everybody cannot do HR, right? So let us, right. So all those are so it's like you get to discover what you have. You also get to discover yourself that this seems like something which is appealing to me, and I seem to be good with this. I seem to be able to connect with this very well. Then you talk to your peers, like what Bala was saying, talk to your alum, talk to your professors, and we have a career counselor also, who can kind of, handhold you a little more in terms of, you take your specific case and he tells you, okay, these could be certain options which I see for you. Not to say you have to follow that, but just, gives you some kind of guidance, right? So no doors are really closed from any regulatory angle or any policy angle. All doors are open for you. But one thing, what I will advise everybody is that when new employers look at you, where after an executive MBA, they are not looking at you the way they will look at a fresh, graduate who has completed an MBA, or, the regular 2-year program that you have. The way they look at that bunch of people is different from the way they will look at you, because you people are senior folks. You have a certain number of years of experience behind you, right? So they are not going to completely disregard that set of experience. So they will say, okay, so you have worked for 8 years in supply chain. So I am looking at you for something which has to do with supply chain, because I want to make use of your ability and your learning from that side. So you might say, okay, I want to go into supply chain finance, right? So it's a bit of a twist, but at the same time, your supply chain experience will come not only in handy, it will be considered. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. You can't completely say that, I want to put all that behind me and start afresh. That's typically not the way it happens in executive management.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That gives everyone a lot of perspective about changing their career. So it's first they have to make up their mind, and they have to think about what they have done in the past, so that their employers also can think and then see them in a different light. That is really helpful for everyone. So in that terms, will placement be better for better profile students? So ma'am, would you like to take that?
What do we mean by better profile students?
They said a better profile, maybe they're coming for.
No, so you know what, you need to be more specific. I would tell the person who's asking this question, like, what do you mean by better profile? I don't understand what's a better profile, right? Okay, one of the things I can say that, yes, the employers would be looking at, you know, your performance at the school, right? Have you got good grades? Have you been doing well? Yes, that could be a better profile than somebody who's not done so well. But otherwise, besides that, what really do you mean by a better profile? Right, then you need to be a little specific. Otherwise, it's a little difficult to answer that question.
True. Sir, is there anything that you would like to add?
Okay. See, when we are selecting the students for a program, at IIMB, we never look at this candidate is having a better profile for a placement side of it. No, that is not our intention. Is this candidate is capable of absorbing what the managerial skills this institute is providing? So that's the way we look at the candidates and we select. Okay, and how he uses those inputs and position himself for the role or the kind of the job which has come. It depends on individual students. See, a guy from an IT side of it and the same guy in a different company for a senior role in an IT side of it, if he is positioning, is that a better profile because he's coming from the same industry, similar kind of sets? Now at a senior level, he wants to get into a same industry. Is that a better profile? Or a guy coming from a different industry with a different project execution experience and he is positioning himself for the IT side of it. Is that a better profile? So it all depends on the selection, the person, the way he is evaluating the candidate side of it. So it all depends on the individual student, how he position himself, what is that he has learned, and how he showcases that knowledge to the interview panel is the one matters in terms of the selection process.
Okay, so another question is, what are the different kind of programs that are available in Executive MBA and which are the most desirable and why?
Would you like to go?
Programs, okay, if like I had mentioned, the programs that we have are 3 at the moment, right? Which is the residential PGDM, which is called PGDM Business Management, which is an 18-month program. Then we have the weekend evening program, which is a 2-year program, which is called PGDM Executive at this point. Third one, which is a specialized program, is Public Policy and Management. Right? These are the 3 programs that we have at this point. What was the other bit you were asking, Upashana?
What is the most desirable one? So
desirable. See, none of them is more desirable than the other. So like I was mentioning, it totally depends upon what your goals are with respect to career, with respect to life, and which one fits your goals better. Okay. So for example, at MDI, the residential program, which is the 18-month program, it is, if I could say, a regular MBA, a PGDM kind of a program with a specific focus on building leadership. Okay, so you are taught the usual MBA courses and the electives and the core papers, finance, marketing, HR, operation, strategy, everything. But there is a certain focus on building leadership qualities and skills. Okay, the second one, which is the evening one, again, it is also similar in terms of the larger platter that it offers, but the focus there is a little bit more towards entrepreneurial orientation. Okay, but otherwise, these both of them are PGDM of the regular PGDM, if I can use that word. The third one, which is Public Policy and Management, is very specialized. At the moment, the participants we have there are government-sponsored senior officers. Okay, and we are opening this year this program. It was once opened earlier also, but again this year we are opening it to the larger audience who may want to look at a career in policy making. So just to very quickly put this, these days not only the government but companies like say Amazon, Google, Accenture, all these kind of companies look for policy people because they want people who can interpret government policy, who can influence government policy, who can translate government policy and help with policy making within the company, for instance, right? Then you also have a whole lot of NGOs and advocacy kind of groups and foundations, etc. Let's say the Azim Premji Foundation, for example, or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. These kind of organizations look for policy people. Okay. Then another area which is coming up very, which is really picking up traction these days, and all of you must have heard about it, is the whole space of social and sustainability. The social and the sustainability side, impact investing, all these kind of spaces, which again look for a lot of talent on the policy side. Okay, so having said all this, then of course the consulting firms have verticals in education, they have verticals in IT, technology, etc., where they're looking for policy people. So policy is one specialized kind of understanding policy, how it gets formed, how it influences, how to be a participant there. That's the very specific kind of skill which this particular program offers. Okay, so coming to the question, which is more desirable, it is absolutely totally about what you want to do with your career, what interests you, and where do you see yourself going. Choose one among the three. That's
Great.
what
Thank you so much, sir. So, ma'am, sir, would you like to tell me about IIM Bangalore?
Yeah, when it comes to the different program side of it, let me take it at a much higher level. See, we have degree granting programs, then executive education programs, and then MOOCs programs. So let me address each one of them. Degree granting programs, where at the end of after successful completion of the program, the student will get a degree certificate from the institute. He will get a degree. He is considered as an alumni of the institute. So what are those degree programs? One is our 2-year regular MBA program. Then last year we introduced MBA program with business analytics, specialized in business analytics. Then we have a 1-year MBA program. Then another one is a 2-year weekend MBA program. So these are the programs we have. So based on the individual's need, they can choose these programs. The regular MBA programs, 2-year full-time residential program, candidate even without work experience is also eligible to apply for that. Again, the admission test is CAT. But if a student is outside India and he wants to apply for this program, then he can apply for this program through GMAT score. Another condition here is, one is outside India. The other condition is, in the last 3 years, at least 18 months, including the CAT examination date, he should be outside India. So just because of to avoid the CAT, he should not go outside India and apply through the GMAT side of it. So in the last 3 years, minimum 18 months, including the CAT period, he should be outside India. And students who are outside India, they are eligible to apply through GMAT score. And the other 1-year MBA program, 1-year full-time residential MBA program, we accept GMAT and GRE score and a minimum 5 years of work experience. We provide a placement support there, both for regular MBA and the 1-year MBA program. But for a 2-year weekend MBA program, work experience is minimum 4 years, but the class average is around 15 years of work experience. And here we won't provide the placement support because he's already working in an organization, and we take a no objection certificate from the current employer. Because Friday, second off, and Saturday, many companies are working on Saturdays. That's why he has to take a permission from the organization. So we are not providing the placement support. So these are the different degree granting programs. But again, in many of these places, we have only one class, that is 1-year MBA is 75 students, and second-year MBA, that is 2-year MBA program, is also 75 students. But number of applications are much more than that. So how they can fulfill their interest in acquiring the knowledge is they can go to EEP program, that is Executive Education Program. Here in the Executive Education Program, student can choose the course of his interest. That is, he wants to have a management, general management program, or an advanced marketing program, or a finance costing program. He can choose those courses, and it is anywhere between a few days to a couple of weeks kind of a program. He can attend those courses. It is the same faculty, and the content will be more or less abridged to the requirement side of it, and he will get the required knowledge there. So at the end of the completion of this course, he will get a certificate of participation there. So that is one way of looking at it. And the other one is, in case if student is not able to attend to the classroom programs of EEP, IIMB is tied up with Government of India's Swayam platform. So through this IIM platform, we also transmit the broadcast programs, which is an online program, again specific to the different courses and different subjects. So it is at free of cost, same faculties. So students can enroll to these programs at free of cost and get the knowledge. So there is no cost, absolutely free. In case if he wants a certificate, he has to take a test. For that test, it is 1,000 rupees. Again, conducted by Government of India, SWAYAM. And one more point I would like to highlight here. As of now, it is in both English as well as Hindi. With the Hindi subscripts, it is coming up. So that is also helpful. So these are the different kinds of programs students can look at. It is not only the degree programs. If a person is looking at enhancing his knowledge, he can come to the EET program, or he can log on to the SWAYAM and also get the similar knowledge from the same faculties.
Thank you. Thank you so much, both of you. It was really, really helpful for
Just
everyone
to
to
add,
understand.
Upashana, so, just as Bala had said about IIM Bangalore, the diploma programs is the ones that I described. So we do have these certificate programs, right, which we call MDPs, Management Development Programs, which could be as short as 3 days to 6 months or even 1 year. So some of them are offline, some of them are online programs. So certificate programs which are very specialized, like what Bala was saying, you want to do one on data analytics, or you want to do one on HR analytics, or something like that. Some specific ones are on offer. So those are certificate programs. They are not diploma, like what Bala was calling degree. So we offer diplomas. So those are not diploma, but certificate programs. And MDPs are like very short. They could be 5 days to maybe 2 weeks on very specific things. So the MDP calendar is up there on the website. So anybody who wants a very small capsule kind of learning on something, you can look at some, if it interests you, you can sign up for that. Those options are also.
Great. So there's a range of options for you. So if you want to do a 3-day course to 6 months to 2 year to 1 year, everything is available.
Everything is there. Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. So there is one viewer has written, what placement companies be dominated by IT profile students?
You want names? Okay. So see, like IT and IT consulting. Okay. So just to give some names. Infosys Technologies, Infosys Consulting, Accenture, which ones are we talking? Maybe Sutherland. So we do have some of these IT consulting companies and, IT and IT consulting companies which come regularly. Apart from that, we've also seen a lot of the good startups. They also have been coming in the last few years and offering some very good profiles to the students. Besides, of course, the other conventional companies, banks are banks and the BFSI, which is the banks and the financial institution side of things, that's always been there. They're also there. And the consulting firms, yes, essentially it's the IT consulting and the Accentures and those ones, Cognizant, that side of it.
So would you like to add anything?
Okay. See, rather than telling the name of the companies, if I just give a few companies and there are another 8 more companies which are there, it does look nice. But I'll give you a broader picture what it is. See, the batch, the outgoing batch is of 75 students. One student went for his own venture. He started his own venture. And 2 of them were there on a sabbatical leave and they are going back to their organization, and all remaining candidates are placed. So already, even still the convocation is still next month, already the students are placed. 47% of the batch is placed in the consulting group, and 22% of them are placed in the IT side of it, and 6% on the e-commerce side of it. And remaining is the other areas. So we have a good choice for the students to choose their kind of the sector they want or the companies they want. And again, the placement is not done by the institute. Institute only supports for the placement activity. It is the placement committee of the students is the one which drives the placement activities. So institute only supports them with administrative support like database or the coordination, those kind of it. And it is totally a students driven activity. And this is also one of their leadership showcasing ability also for the students. So it is totally a students driven and they're doing it well. And this time successfully they have completed the placement activities well in advance.
Thank you so much, sir. We are a little over time, so I will quickly cover one or two questions. It says, also in MDI and IMB, do we have exposure interaction with international faculty from top B schools?
So, see, at MDI for the 18-month program, which is a residential program, we have, and also for the public policy and management program, we have, an international immersion component, which happens towards the end of the program. Of course, last 2 years we've not, managed to have it because of COVID. So this year we are hoping that we will be able to conduct it. Now, this international immersion component is not a mandatory component. Reason being, it is expensive, right? So not everybody may be able to afford it, and it is the cost of that is not built into our fees. Okay, so if anybody opts for it, they will have to pay for it over and above. So for those who may not be willing to spend that kind, so just to answer your question, so that is one opportunity where international exposure happens for the students. Okay, and those who cannot, who choose not to go for that, there is an alternative domestic immersion, so societal domestic immersion component, which is arranged for them. Having said that, coming to other kind of exposure to international faculty, definitely one of the benefits that COVID brought about, that you don't have to get the international faculty to fly down to your campus, right? You could do it over Zoom. So a lot of our, a lot of us as faculty, when we teach, we do get international faculty to, speak to our students as part of the classroom teaching. Then there are seminars that happen, there are conferences that happen, etc. Where, so COVID has actually brought that to happen much more easily. But otherwise also it happens, but it is naturally not as, frequent as we could manage it during COVID, surprisingly, right? So, we do have international faculty visiting the campus, and we organize seminars, etc. Okay, but if you were to say that are there courses taken exclusively by international faculty? No, not at this point in time. Not at this point in time, other than the international immersion component, which is available in 2 of the programs.
Okay. On the same lines here also, yes, we have international faculties on board who are the regular faculties here. Are they taking this particular program, that is Executive MBA program? That depends on the schedule and that side of it. But as a part of the design of the program, that is 1-year MBA program, we have an immersion program, as Professor Veena Iyer was telling. And last 2 years, the students did not travel, but we had an online interaction with international faculties. And it was a full 2 weeks, 1 week kind of an activity. And it was well received by the students. That is one part of it. Second is in our 2-year weekend MBA program and the regular MBA programs, we have exchange program, one-term exchange program, where students will travel to a foreign university without any additional tuition fees. It is the same tuition fees what they have paid. We adjust to the international university also, but travel cost is extra. So they travel to a foreign university, they complete one-term course in a foreign university, and they will come back. So this gives them a total exposure to a foreign university, students, the faculties, the interaction there. All these things are possible. Then in addition to these things, we have GNAM, Global Network for Advanced Management Studies. This is organization started by the Yale University. IIMB is the only institute in India which is a partner for this GNAM. They conduct a 1-week class where students from different universities participate. They come to IIMB and they participate here in the classroom activities. Same way, our students go to different universities and participate for 1-week classes. So these are all the areas in which we have international exposure, interacting with the international faculties at IIM Bangalore.
Great. Thank you so much to both of you to have taken out time and actually answered so many questions and helped a lot of viewers to understand Executive MBA, the challenges, what are the things they need to keep in mind. So I would like to ask you any last comments that you have for our viewers today.
Okay, so see, I'll basically just leave them with some thoughts in the sense that you please be sure why you need to go for a business education at the stage of your career. So just don't go for it because everybody is going or everybody is telling you ki MBA kar lo. right? Be very clear. Of course, explore it, but be clear about why you want to go for it. Okay. What would you like your career trajectory to look like? What is it that you enjoy? I think Bala had also mentioned this, right? So what is it that you will enjoy? Because see, this is going to be a long haul. So you better be doing what you enjoy rather than, struggling for the next 30 years and being all, stressed out. So try to do what you enjoy. Okay. And how will this business degree or diploma, whatever it is, really going to help you achieve that? Your aspirational career path. So be, kind of talk to people, get some kind of a good idea about why you're doing this, how this will help you. Okay. So once you have decided that, okay, I want to go, check out the various schools that you have in your option, this thing, based on various criteria that matter to you. It could be money, it could be distance, it could be time, it could be, what they offer, what you want to do, the network, right? Alumni network, the cohort experiences. It could be multiple things that matter to you. Okay. So think about it, check out the schools, study what they have to offer nicely. Okay. And finally, one thing which I will definitely tell you, please see, this is an investment which is not just your monetary investment or your time investment. This is an investment for many of you, especially those of you who have, spouses and children. It is an investment by your family as well. Okay. So they are also investing in this venture of yours. So please include them in this decision, because there is going to be a shift in your lifestyle, at least for those 1 or 2 years. There is going to be adjustment to be made by everybody. So that is my only advice, because otherwise we do see people who enter and then they decide that, okay, this is not for me. So do your homework, then it just helps to be entering into in a better.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, yeah, here also the same thing. Decide why you want to plan for an MBA. Once you have decided to do an MBA, identify your colleges, which college that you want to be. Then study their admission process and see what is in your hand as per that. In majority of the admission process of these institutes is one and the same. See what is in your hand and try to enhance that. So that will improve your chances of getting an interview call. Once you get an interview call, it's all in your hand how you are going to convert it. And in case, if you get offer from more than one institute, I'm very happy for that. Then you also have a good challenge with you where you want to join. So that's where how we are going to evaluate different institutes, how we want to compare them. And also if it is from a different geographies, one from India, one from abroad, how to look at those things also. Yes, it is not an easy one. Some pointers is like, you can look at what is your future plan after your graduation, where you want to work for some time. So it is better to go to that place where you're planning to work, join an education institute in that particular area, because your acceptance is much more. Because see, for example, if you're working in India and you want a job in US, after this program, it is not that easy compared to a student who is working in US and getting a job in US. So you be clear on that side also. That is point number one. Just for that, don't jump to US, because there are, in India, we have many better institutes than compared to the US. The ranking system is one of the things that you can look into, and the faculties are the key parameters in any education institute, because for an education institute, you're going for a knowledge, and faculty is the key strength of an education institute. Look at how good the faculty strength in the area in which you are going. Then look at the placements and also talk to some of the alums. So these are all the parameters that you may consider in case if you have more than one offer to finally select an institute. So I wish you all the very best in this endeavor. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was great to hear all the comments and everything. Thank you for taking out the time. And thank you, viewers, for joining us today. Without you, we cannot have a successful conversation at all. So I wish all of you a good night. Thank you so much for joining again. Thank you. Have a great day.
And
Thank you,
wishing everybody the very
Upashana.
best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.